Liberty Fighters Network.
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 Liberty Fighters Network. Liberty Fighters Network.
Good day, liberators and fellow South Africans. I'm making a video today which you have to forward to as many as possible people, because anyone who is in arrears or has debt with a bank, they have to get this information. I'm going to share with you 20 tips which we have tried and tested in the work that we are doing. We specialize in fighting repossession cases by banks. So I don't want to be arrogant, but the information I'm going to share here, you will not be able to get from any attorney out there, guaranteed, because of the reasons I'm going to share with you in these tips as well. So people, let me start off with the tips, and yes, please share this. Firstly, you have to relax and stop worrying. So many people commit suicide because of debt, and it's not necessary. They even go as far as some of them to kill their families as well, and it's so unnecessary, people. Yes, I do know that when you have the bank phoning you and you in arrears, you have this worry that they're going to come and take your home and your car, and you're going to lose everything, and how are you going to rebuild it? And stop worrying, relax. The tips following will give you the means of fighting this and to come over it if you follow it by the letter. Then ignore your blacklisting. People, blacklisting is nothing. To be on a credit bureau that Reyno De Beer owes 1 million rand to bank FNB, so what? You don't want to have credit in any event. So if you are in arrears, why do you want to have other credit if you are already in debt? So it does not make sense. A default disappears in about 1 year's time. When a summons or when judgment is given against you, it stays against your name for three years. But yes, banks do have this secret system between them to keep blacklisting people, even if they are not on the credit bureaus. Yes, but it's not a death penalty, people. Stop worrying about that. Then you cannot be arrested. You cannot be arrested and imprisoned for your debt unless it is a maintenance order against you, and the maintenance court have evaluated the matter and have reprimanded you a couple of times, evaluated, inquired about your financial position, and you still fail, then you can be imprisoned for that. But South African law, you cannot be indebted, or you cannot be imprisoned or arrested for your debt. Then they cannot act without the court order. They must have a court order, and in order to obtain a court order, they need to follow a process. And if you follow our tips, you will be aware of that. So you don't if the bank comes to you and say, please give the keys to your car, I'm going to take it now. You just simply say, where's your court order? Okay, I don't have it. And then only a sheriff, if there is a legitimate court order, only a sheriff may execute it. Not the police, not someone from the bank, not a debt collector, only a sheriff. A sheriff must identify himself or herself the moment when he comes with a judgment to say, I'm going to take your car, or I am attaching your home. He cannot remove your home, obviously, it will still stay there, but it must be by the sheriff, delivered by the sheriff. Then there's this is specifically for bank debt, but some retailers do use facilities like, for example, RCS, that's actually backed by banks. So it's a normal credit agreement that you actually sign with them, because the bank actually pays them your account, and then you pay the bank back, RCS, and not the retailer. So these steps also apply to those instances as well. So if you are paying another entity other than the physical retailer where you have purchased the property, the article, and yes, the chances are very good that it falls under these steps too. And then yes, you need to understand the concept of securitization and cession. Um, in basically all the cases, the moment when you have signed your contract with a bank, the loan agreement, and the bank pays the money over either to yourself or grant you the facility, the overdraft or other credit card facility, or pay the home that you have purchased. That moment, your debt is actually paid. That's how the system works. Otherwise, it would have not been as mighty as it is today, the banking system. I just simply call it the banking criminal network. But in any case, now that's how it works. And cession, it's when the bank physically tells another person to buy it, by cession, usually a debt collecting company or attorney firm acting as debt collectors as well. And then they pay 10 cents or 20 cents in the rand, and then it's ceded to them, and then they collect it further as if they are the bank, which they actually may not do. But in any event, the system works like that. You don't have to worry that I owe this money and I'm not paying it and I feel so bad about it. Get over it. You have been paid. And to make matters worse for the banks and much better for you, many of the banks do have credit risk insurance. So when you get in arrears and you are unable to pay, they don't only get the credit risk insurance to settle your debt, they even go and securitize it as well, sell it off on a stock exchange to someone in Japan or wherever, and they get money for that as well. And then they even get payments from you, and then they get seeded also to attorneys to collect further. They get their money over and over and over again. So don't worry about that, and that's how the system works. Don't feel bad about it. Then update your address regularly. It's totally the contrast what you would believe, but it's so important with following and defending this for you. You have to give the full address to the bank. Update it, make sure that they have acknowledged that they have changed your address, because of the fact that if they suddenly serve very important court documents at a different address than that, you can always use that as an excuse to rescind the judgment that you have never been served correctly, irrespective that they knew where you were staying and what the address is. And by getting the documents, you know exactly at what point you are. There's absolutely no prejudice that you can suffer for the fact that they know your address. It's to your benefit that they know your address. Then no arrangements. Do not make any arrangements pre-court process issued. Do not go and, because they phone you, okay, I will make an arrangement to pay 50 Rand a month. The moment, number one, the chances are very good that you don't owe that money at all, even if they say that you owe R1 million to them. The system of securitization, as I've explained, actually paid your debt already. So do not acknowledge anything that you most probably don't have to pay. And also on that note, it is important to know that, the moment when you make an arrangement for 50 Rand, and it's maybe, let's say, about just short of 3 years since your last payment, that 50 Rand that you pay actually have the effect that the 3-year prescription period starts again from that date. So don't do that. Don't encourage prescription to be revived. The period during which they have to sue you and take legal action. Then, if you really can, and you know that you're going to get money, and it's a certainty that you're going to get money to settle the bank, do it. You've got the money to do it, and it will save you a lot of grief and effort to fight this. It's a lot of effort, and it takes a lot of time and money from your side to keep this fight against the bank going. So if you have the means, and only as a last resort that you've got the money, pay it, go on. If that means that you have paid off your vehicle or your home, get the proof that the bond and the title had been transferred back to you. It's important that it's scratched, because if you die, for example, and they say suddenly that you have not paid them, and it's still registered as a bond against your home, the bank is going to take it. So make sure that it's then cancelled. Then sell. You can sell the property or the vehicle yourself. If you're in debt and you can't pay it anymore, put it on the market and let it go at a profit. Don't take anything less because than what is outstanding at the bank. Get a settlement amount to know exactly if you settle this debt from the bank now today, what would it be? And then make sure that the amount that you are getting either for the vehicle or for the home that is much more than the settlement amount. There's no use to sell it off at a lesser rate because the remainder will still remain your responsibility to pay back according to their version. Yes, take that into consideration. Then do not sign any paperwork pre-issuing of a summons or starting an application court application against you. So when you, for example, you get these guys that's contracted in with a bank to say that they come and knock on your door and say that you in arrears with paying the bank and please give the key and I'm going to take it back. It belongs to the bank. And then they want you to sign a document. Don't do that. Chase them away. Say that if you are not a sheriff and you do not have a judgment against me, a court order against me to do that, bugger off from my property. You are not entitled to do it. And if you do sign that document, then you acknowledge that you are responsible. They're going to sell your vehicle. If it's 100,000 Rand worthy, they're going to sell it for 5,000 Rand and they're going to send you an account for 95,000 Rand plus cost. So don't do that. If you really want to, and you can, take back the vehicle and give them the keys. And if they want you to sign something, you just tell them, you know what, go to hell. Because that document basically tells them that you acknowledge that you are owing and they can pursue you for the rest. So don't do that. Then telephone calls. Oh, yeah. People remember that when people, debt collectors, phone you, they are human beings. Treat them with respect. They are also just doing it because they need to provide for their families as well. So it's not them that wants the money from you. It's the banks who wants it, or actually the attorneys they are working for. So treat them with respect, but tell them that you refuse to give any personal information over the phone and they need to communicate with you via email to the email address that you have provided. Don't give any personal information over the phone. It can also be a scam. The moment when you give your personal information, your ID number or your address or your email address or other alternative cell phone number, it can be a confirmation that you are owing that amount. So you just simply tell them, people, you've got my latest updated information, contacting information on your side. I'm not going to repeat it over the phone because I have been a victim of identity theft before, which I always say, and that was per occasion was that the case. And then they just have to deal with it. Don't admit anything over the phone. You're entitled to ignore them. You're entitled not to even accept their phone calls. You're entitled to even block their phone calls. But don't admit anything. If they are so nice and they say, just pay 50 Rand, remember that 50 Rand will reinstate the contract and the arrears. So don't do that. So what I always used to do, and I'm talking out of experience, I once owed something more than R1 million to different banks. I had this spree where I took a loan from this one and I went over to the next one and and I've paid absolutely zero back. But in any case, I've gotten away with it. And you can too, if you follow these processes. The chances are good that they will treat you exactly the same as they did with me, to just stop. But what I used to do was I started to sing because these people phone so regularly and they were irritating me. I was so nice with this person. We later on knew each other by the name, and I've started singing Willy Wally. And why? Not that I'm mad, but because consciously they remember when your telephone number pops up, your cell phone number to phone. They know, oh, this is the guy that always sings, and they will stop bothering you. So that works really. Then accept all documents delivered by the sheriff or a registered slip. The moment when the sheriff comes to your property and he wants to serve you with a summons or application, court application, accept it, sign for it, date it, and put the time you've received it there and take a photograph of that. It's very important that you receive court documents and act positively to them. A registered mail slip from the post office, go and collect it. It's important information that's in there. When they send a registered email to you, which is now the new norm, accept it and you open it and you deal with it. Then on that line, when you receive a court process, a summons or a court application, react to it positively. And you immediately phone us. if you don't have any other lawyer that you can trust, I will get to that. Go and defend the case, go and oppose the case. It's important that you have to react to it. You cannot refuse to sign, because then you don't have to prove when it was signed for, and that might be used against you. It's very important that you do react to all court processes and keep reacting to them at all times until the very, very last end, irrespective of what any other person would like to tell you. Do not ignore court processes, people. It's very important that you accept those documents and react positively to it all over. I had to repeat it because it's very important. And then represent yourself. Don't go to a lawyer. Don't go to your cousin or your brother or whoever, because of the fact that you've got a greater chance of successfully defending your case against the bank than you being represented. Firstly, you will most probably have to pay. You already are in debt. Now you have to pay this attorney because the attorney knows the best and they're going to help you. No, people, they are, if you don't trust them 100% completely and they're doing it for free, don't go to a lawyer. You cannot trust them with this because of the fact that almost all attorneys and advocates, they are on the rolls of banks. Banks, they thrive on this. It's a assault weapon that they use against you by having attorneys on their side. Most of the monies any attorney firm gets through their lifetime, through their existence, come from banks, come from the big corporations. Those people who's doing pro bono work and they human rights activists here and there, you will always see them driving in a 1967 Beetle, and they're very humble, and I like them. There are a few of them and I adore them, but most of the time you cannot trust someone who earns most of their income from the banks. And it doesn't have to be your specific bank, it can be any bank, because if they do take your case and they pursue it with all their might, the other banks will know about it and stop giving them him or her the business. So it's very important that you don't go to a lawyer. You've got a much better chance of defending it with our assistance than by any other means. And then, very important, the common law, the new practice out there in social media of the common law and emancipation and everything. I love it. I know about it, but you cannot enforce it in South Africa as yet. I haven't seen one case where it could have been enforced. It does not happen. There are, I know, a couple of organizations out there to say that please emancipate. If you emancipate, but you don't use it to fight your debt, go ahead with it. But if you use it to oppose and defend an ongoing court process, you're going to get screwed. Irrespective of what that lady, she's so pretty and she's so cutty, but she's putting you on a wild goose chase. I have seen a case where people have utilized those documents where the debt is surrendered to the directors of the company, and then you are instructed not to communicate further, just go and drop it at the attorneys and then ignore them. You will have your debt is surrendered and nothing will happen. No, what the attorneys are doing, like in this specific case, FNB came in and said that was not a legitimate court process and we were entitled to proceed with the auction, and then it was the property was sold, etc., etc. The people have lost. Then these organizations even also arrogant to start charging you monies for the crap work they are doing. People, the moment when you have to pay someone who is not a legal practitioner for a court document to be submitted in a current court process, that person needs to be registered as a legal practitioner in terms of Section 33 of the Legal Practice Act of 2014. If ever that person expects money for, they can call it in whatever, a non-voluntary donation or administration fee or whatever. The moment when they give you a court document, or they say that they're going to represent you in court in some way, and they are not legal practitioners, it's a criminal offense, and they may not expect any money in return. That's why Liberty Fighters Network do the work that we are doing free of charge without expecting anything in return, because we are not legal practitioners. And we, for the court documents and the representation that we are providing to you in a legitimate, total legitimate way, we may not expect anything in return unless we are legal practitioners. I have been pursued many times. I have been criminally investigated because of that. And luckily, each and every time it was proved that I did not expect anything in return. We only survive on voluntary donations. We don't force people to donate to us. It's their own free will. So, and people, when you follow the common law process and they are fighting you on a legal system way, you are not on the same level. They can pursue you on theirs with a full might. You have to use the common law in the system that they are pursuing you. It's like you cannot fight in the air if the war is actually on the ground and you don't have means to drop bombs. If you can just fly, reconnaissance, then and the war is on the ground, then you can't fight the battle. You have to be in the same system. And you cannot ignore any court process against you. That's very important, people. Be careful. Trial and test it. Be careful. There's no reason for any attorney to come to you and say, if you sequestrate, yes, sorry for that, you don't have to pay them and you just surrender, liquidate your company, blah. Who's benefiting from them? It's the attorneys benefiting because their cost will always be paid first. It's cost in the sequestration or liquidation. So they will always benefit from that and they will tell you that you will have this clean slate. And in this sense, do not follow debt review processes. Debt review processes confirm that you owe them, and the debt review process, if you stop paying the debt counselor, then at the end of the day, they just pursue you in any event for the remainder and for the full amount. And so don't sequestrate, liquidate, or follow review, debt review, or debt rescue process. Debt rescue is something different, sorry, but debt review. Don't put yourself under debt review because of the reasons already mentioned. And then appeal or rescind the judgment. If you are not happy, or it has been obtained in your absence, or the processes have not been correctly followed, either rescind it or appeal it. It's very important that you do it because the chances that you are not owing them are very good. And you are entitled and you should succeed with a rescission or an appeal. And if that does not happen and you have exhausted, you went to the Constitutional Court and they cannot help you and they just dismiss your case without even hearing your matter, pursue criminal case. Pursue a criminal case because everything that happened there is actually criminal. Because the bank fraudulently, knowing well that they are not the owners of that debt anymore, have pursued you for that in their name. The attorneys and everyone involved in that case have done so criminally. Because if you are well aware of the fact, and all of them are well aware of the fact that their clients are not the actual owners of it, and they are just pursuing it and going on with it, it's a criminal case. And you pursue that criminal case, even if you have to do it as a private prosecution at the end of the day. Get someone, because from the evidence you have collected in the civil matter, and that is always what we do. We first do the civil case, get all the information necessary in it before we move over to a criminal case. So you collect the information and then you pursue a criminal case. People, if you have anything that you would like to know about this, please communicate with us. In the beginning and at the end of this video, you will find our contact details. The main thing is that you must not surrender. You must not give in. Because at the end of the day, you are actually the right one. The system has been made to pay off your debt, even if you don't pay it. That's how the banking system works and operates. And the only ones who are actually pursuing you are technically the attorneys who are then buying this and they are trying to pursue you actually as the bank, but it's actually the attorneys doing it. So that's the truth. If you need any further information, please communicate with us. If you like this video, please share this with others. They need to get this information. No attorney will give this information to them. And all these are trial and tested. We know they work. And it's not going to mean that you have to go to an attorney to do this. You can do it yourself, and you are entitled to represent yourself in court. You are even entitled as an officer of a company to represent that entity. The precedents have been set already for that, and you may do that. So irrespective of what anyone else tells you, these are trial and tested. We know these 20 tips will help you. Share this, subscribe to the channel, please consider joining as a member to have specific perks and help to fund us. And also, we'll appreciate you considering voluntary donation to us to keep us going and help others who are unfortunate not to be able to afford lawyers and trusted lawyers to represent them. We're doing all these cases free of charge for people, and most of them don't have the money to pay us or make a donation. Not by us, but to make a donation or to pay a lawyer, sorry, that's the correct word, before someone says something different. Thank you very much for your support. Really appreciate it. God bless. Until the next time.
Liberty Fighters Network.
Liberty Fighters Network.
Liberty Fighters Network.
Liberty Fighters Network.